My name is Daniel, Little Leaf Carton. I am a blood reserve member. So my reserve is down past Fort McLeod. My father is from the Piikani tribe, so I'm half blood, half Piikani. And yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about Sweetgrass Skin Co?
So Sweetgrass Skin Co was founded almost a year ago now. My use of tallow and coconut-free products started when I was about 18, when I developed a coconut allergy. I was washing dishes one day with one of at my buddy's house, and they used a lot of coconut. And I pulled my hands out of the water, and my arms were puffy and red up to the water line. So we didn't know what it was, and so I went to the doctor, and they tried everything, and then they're like, "We need to send you to an allergy clinic." So I went there, and then they tried everything, and they're like, "Yeah, you're not allergic to any of the normal things." And then I used some sunscreen, I think it was, or moisturizer that had coconut in it, and my hands immediately puffed up again. So I had to look into alternative ways for using, cream, soap, shampoo, anything like that. And so me and my wife started making this by ourselves because that's kind of what we needed, what I needed, because you can't really find anything that's not coconut. And and then friends and family were like, "You guys need to sell this," and we're like making stuff out of mason, like the original. I think we have a video of our original products. It was in mason jars and just looks so bad. Like we were sharpening what it was. It was just for friends and family. Like we weren't selling it at all. And then so then after that, friends were like, "You need to start selling this," and we're like, "I'm busy." At that point we had 4 kids, and but we still have 4 kids, but then we just decided one day, we're like, "Let's do it." And from there it kind of blew up, and just it's gone way further than we thought it was. So yeah.
So did you see it going anywhere near its been when you started?
When we first started, me and my wife were sitting in our kitchen, and we were like, if we ever got into a store, that would be insane. And since then, we're in a number of stores. So no, I can't say that I really thought it was gonna go and be accepted, because it's not something like if you really like this tallow was used a lot in the olden days. You don't really see it now in many. Well, now you see it now because it's very trendy, but you don't really ever see it in stores. And it was. Yeah. It's just been, we didn't think it was ever going to go this far, to be honest with you. We thought it was, we sell a couple things to friends and family and friends of theirs, and that was it. But we're selling, across Canada, in the United States. It's been, it's gone way bigger than we ever thought it would.
What do you think you and your wife would say when you first started, if you could see how far it's gone?
I hope I would say that we would keep doing it, but I don't know. Myself, I get sometimes a little flabbergasted, or I'm deer in the headlights. So I don't know. Maybe I've been like, no, let's not do it. I mean, it's been a lot of work. I get home from my day job, and then we do this till 10 o'clock at night. So last year I worked almost 8 months straight. So not every weekend I was out somewhere. Edmonton, Calgary, High River, wherever. So, but I hope I would have said yes.
Do you struggle with burnout?
Not as much as I used to, especially not really with this as much. I always joke that it's really hard, but at the same time, there's so many different aspects to doing this. Like harvesting all of our, all the plants that we use in them. So I get my kind of refreshment if I need, if I'm burning out, is either go to the mountains or go to the prairies. And now this is my job to go to the prairies. So it doesn't really feel like a job in that sense, because we just get to wander around with the kids, and we get to harvest things. And so in that sense, it's a pretty good balance as far as a company goes, I would say.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So the kids have fun helping?
Yeah, the kids actually love it. So they are now able to identify so many different plants, and you know, they know how to harvest them properly so we aren't damaging, and how they'll regrow. And they're just actually, this bouquet was made by my 6-year-old. So she is really good at what she does, and so she's pretty amazing. But yeah, all the kids love to do it, because then on top of it, it's like family time too, and they get to feel like, when, you know, well, they are helping us, but they get to really feel like they're really helping mom and dad, and, you know, we repay them in, you know, buying whatever they want at powwow. So it's not child labor. Like, there is, you know, some exchange. But yeah, and unfortunately, I passed down the coconut allergy gene. So my son and it seems to be a male thing, because both my sons have sensitivity to coconut now. So yeah.
Can I ask, what is tallow?
So tallow is the fat from an animal. So we use the leaf fat, which is the internal organ fat. So you take the raw product and then you render it down, getting all the impurities out through it's about a 48-hour process to get it all out, and then turn it into tallow, which is then about shelf-stable for anywhere from a year to 2 years. In fact, they make, traditionally tallow was used to make pemmican. So pemmican, obviously you know what pemmican is, but pemmican is shelf-stable to up to 20, 25 years. Like, a friend of mine, they just found some pemmican that his dad made back when, I think he was about 30 years old. And they tried it, and it was still good. So it lasts a really long time. So yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So that's inspired your product there, Tallow Be Thy Name?
Yes, that's inspired that one. Yeah, so that's a pain, helps with pain. So but yeah, so we use a number of different traditional black remedies that they would use on the prairies. So each one has its own traditional plant, and yeah, that's so each one has a different purpose.
Do you want to walk me through them?
Yeah, so our first 2 creams we ever came out with was this one is the Gatherer cream, and we use yarrow in it. So there's only 4 ingredients in this one now. We've cut it all back to all ingredients you can get from within 50 kilometers of here. So all it is tallow, yarrow, some jojoba oil, and beeswax. And so what yarrow is actually, yarrow is this guy right here. So yarrow has been used by most prairie tribes for hundreds of years. They used to use it as a powder, as a paste. They used to use it as a tea. They used to use it as a dandruff, to fight dandruff, but to help with their wounds and their and all that. They would do is they crush into powder and they would pack it into it, and it's actually a natural coagulant. So that's what they help clot their wounds. And then as a paste, it's actually, since then it's actually antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. So they'd put it on their wounds and it would help fight infection. But as a tea, it also helps with a little bit of pain. So whether that be like stomach pain, some women used to use it for menstrual pain or stomach aches, anything like that. The tea doesn't taste great. Let's get that out there. It does not taste great at all. But it also is phenomenal for colds as well. So it's kind of like not want to say one of the main ones that they use, but it was definitely one of the ones that they use quite often. So yeah, this guy really does help with, like, you know, tallow in itself is just really high in all different vitamins. So vitamins, you know, A through E, vitamin K2, vitamin B12, and because it's very genetically similar to what we are, so our bodies absorb it almost immediately. And so that's a lot of times people are like, oh, is it going to be greasy? Is it going to be, you know, sticky? And everyone puts it on and they're like, oh, it's already gone. I'm like, yeah, your body absorbed it almost immediately. So yeah, that one is our first cream we ever came out with, and that one helps with, you know, chronically dry skin, cracked toes, sore hands, or fingertips. Yeah, that was the original cream. The first cream that we ever made for me. And yeah, and then our next one that we came out with was our prairie cream, and so that one we use rose in it. So rose is just really high in vitamins A, B, C, D, and E, as well as a lot of times it helps with balancing pH levels. People that are prone to like breakouts or rashes or anything like that, they can use that and won't exacerbate the problem. So you can go onto our review board and you'll see all the people being like, you were our last resort. We tried everything. And those are the comments that really make me and my wife want to keep going, because it's like, wow, this is really making a difference. We have so many people come to us being like, we've tried everything. We've done everything, you know. And yeah, so that's yeah, it's amazing to get those that feedback. Then our next one is our pain, or helps with pain relief. So it's called Hallowed Be Thy Name, and actually my brother-in-law came up with that name, and the story behind the name is actually one of the biggest things that was keeping us from actually becoming a company was our name. We couldn't figure out a name for our company, and that actually was one of the names that we had played with. That my brother-in-law just one day we're like, we don't know what to call ourselves. He's like, just be like, Hallowed Be Thy Name. And so that's our family joke that we we have going. But we use arnica and cottonwood in it. So arnica, what it does, it grows almost well, it goes everywhere on the prairies. But what it does, it actually increases blood flow to the area. So with increased blood flow, you get reduced inflammation. So it's very fast-acting pain relief. You'll see in a lot of over-the-counter pain relief creams because it's fast-acting. Then for long-lasting pain relief, you use cottonwood, which is the poplar tree. In the spring and it's sometimes in the fall, it produces salicylic acid, which is the active ingredient in aspirin. So, yeah, like it's rough. It's hard to because there's no set date for when it decides to come out of the trees. So we have to be constantly looking at the trees and being like, is it ready yet? Is it ready? Because then you have about a 10-day window to harvest. And so it was actually crazy. We were running out because this last spring was like a week. So everything flew by. So we had I think our harvest window was like 3 days. And so we didn't think we had enough. We were like, should we even release it? And so we were running out, and we decided that we were going to go to Strathmore because there was their Indigenous liaison had invited us out and said that they had grown a whole bunch of sweetgrass, and that if we wanted to come harvest some sweetgrass, we could. So we went out, and then we harvested some, and then we decided we were going to walk around this lake that was there. So we started walking around the lake, and one of my kids, she was running with a stick and face planted. And I was like, oh no. So I went and grabbed her, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she's holding a stick, and I'm like, oh, thank God she didn't stab herself. And as I looked at the stick, it was a poplar tree, and the bud was fully covered in salicylic acid, the sap. And I was like, where did you find the stick? And the kids were like, follow me. So we run into this area, and it was definitely a picnic area that was surrounded by poplar trees. And we looked up, and all the trees were covered in the buds and salicylic acid. So, and it was super crazy because that day there was a crazy windstorm. Like, it was rainy, it wasn't great out, and the wind had blown off all the ends of the trees. So they were all just laying all over the ground. And we had literally that day been like, oh, creator, if you want us, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to be we're gonna have to go buy stuff, we're gonna have to buy stuff and go back, and then it won't be authentic, and so, and then we go out to this picnic area that's literally just covered in broken branches. So we didn't have to harvest it from the trees, which is a little more meticulous because you have to peel them off. We literally just grabbed handfuls of branches and put them in the back of our trunk. And I'm sure they were happy because we cleaned up the area. So, and yeah, we drove home, and then for the next couple hours we sat there picking off buds. But it was crazy. It was a really crazy, and at the point I was like, oh, I feel like that was a real good sign kind of thing. So yeah,
Absolutely.
but yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then our last cream, our Plains cream, so we use rose hip and vanilla bean in it. So rose hip is another ingredient that you can only harvest once a year, and you have to wait till the first frost of the year. So it's there's no set date. And then you're fighting every other animal that decides to eat it as well. So because most animals won't eat them during the summer. And the reason for that is Blackfoot used to call them the itchy berry. And the reason for that is you eat it, when it comes out the other end, you're very itchy. And so the reason why you have to wait for the first frost is the frost contracts the branches, and it pushes tannins into the berries that neutralizes the itchiness. So that's why you have to wait for the first frost. And so traditionally how they used to use the rose hips, they used to harvest them. And so they're super high in vitamins and minerals. So they've actually compared one rose hip, which is about the size of a marble, to other fruit. and has the same amount of vitamin C and vitamin D as 20 oranges. So it's like packed full. And so they would add that to their pemmican, and that's what would give them their vitamins and minerals during the winter when they were in their teepees and they weren't able to go outside. And, you know, our winters, they say, like here in Alberta at least, they say that even if you're outside for, let's say, 10 hours with exposed skin, you'll get more, like the vitamin D that you get from the sun is very finite compared to, it's like, I think they compare it to, so like 10 hours outside to 15 minutes outside during the summer. So it's pretty significant. So you don't get a lot of vitamins and minerals, but that's what they would use in their pemmican to give them vitamins and minerals throughout the winter. And but as well as it helps with it helps with discoloration, scarring, wrinkles, and stretch marks. So it helps with the tightening of skin. It helps with the revitalization of the skin. So we kind of like tie, like I said, yeah, we use like all traditional blackfoot remedies. So we like to find the right ones that would work as a topical kind of topical application kind of thing. So yeah.
Kind of like a bridge from the traditional way of life to the modern world.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
So where'd you learn all of this? Because you obviously have a host of knowledge.
So a lot of this, so in my previous life, I was a commercial herbicide and pesticide applicator, which is a complete opposite of what I do today. But in that, you do learn a lot about different vegetation. You have to take different tests. You have to learn a whole bunch of different, like, they call them weeds, but we call them different things now. But yeah, so you have to learn. So that's where a lot of my base knowledge came from. And then when we started doing more research and kind of looking how traditionally what they would use, that's kind of how this happened. So me and my wife did lots of research. Well, my wife did a lot of research, and I read the research. She's a little better at doing that than I am. So that's how we kind of learned everything from that. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite one out of these creams?
To be honest with you, I think my favorite one is the original cream, which would be this guy, just because it's so versatile in its use. Like from sunburns to cracked skin in the winter to burns or whatever. Like usually in my line of work, because I also am a plumber, we use a lot of chemicals that are like high in ethanol or alcohol, so dries your hands out like crazily. So that one I find the most relief with, personally. But yeah.
What's your best seller?
It actually is a toss-up between the original, so the Gatherer, the one with the arrow in it, and our Pain Relief. So yeah. So they're both about, I think the statistics, I think they differ by a couple percentage points. But yeah. And then our new cream, which is like, it's kind of hard to be like, because we only came out with that for like, I think it's been like 2 or 3 months, so it's kind of hard to be like, a lot of people, we got a really good feedback on that one as well. So, and the Prairie one as well. Like our Prairie one is like, obviously they all sell good, but yeah, different groups buy them for different reasons, right? Because they, like our whole idea behind the company too is kind of get rid of the idea where you need to have like 20 different creams for different parts of your body. You know, like one for your hand, it's like one of these is good head to toe. You don't have to buy all of them or whatever. And each one, has its own purpose. And a lot of times people buy all 4. And then when the repeat comes, you can see which ones they really liked. And a lot of times it is the Gather. And that's for a lot of people who like suffer from, chronically dry skin or anything like that. Or in the summer. My father-in-law was just on a cruise, and he burns very easy. And he sent me a text over, I think it was Telegram. He's like, I'm so glad I brought this with me. He's like, or this would have been a horrible cruise. I was sunburned. So, yeah. So
Well, even with how dry it is here.
yes, with how dry it is, it's been a busy winter for us for sure. So,
So how would you say you've been received?
I think mostly, I would say 99% of it we received with, a lot of people have been like, oh, you use fat? And then I'm like, yeah, that's how they used to in the old days. And after they get over that, then they kind of understand. There is the 1% that we do get a little bit of interesting comments from the communities that don't like animals being used as products. But it is what it is. I say traditionally, I mean, we use the whole animal, right? We used every part of the animal. And fat is probably one of the most thrown out things that there are. And so, if we're able to encourage people to, use it for whatever, you can use it for cooking, you can use it for soap, you can use it for, whatever. If we encourage people to use things that people aren't using anymore, right? Less waste.
Which is so awesome to see in this age of materialism and consumerism, to bring that efficiency back.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you're saying, I applaud you for saying, each of these creams can be used head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need 20 creams. And I suffer from eczema, so I know that all too well, the struggle of which cream is the best cream.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say there's a difference in how you're received in the market scene versus online?
Markets, I would say it's a little, for lack of a better term, like a little easier pill to swallow, because I'm able to talk to them and answer their questions. Rather, if you go online, we do have all the descriptions there, but it's really, I think you'd be a little more brave. So I applaud the people who buy online, because, it's, at markets, we're received really well. Everyone is always really kind. Obviously, we do get the occasional customer that's, but that's business. But online, we're so happy to see our repeat customers buying, leaving comments, messaging us on one of our social media sites, or even emailing us. So all in all, like, we were received so well, which was like, I think it was one of our biggest kind of fears when it first started, being like, how are we going to be received? Are people going to be angry? Are people going to be, but it's all been, it's all been, I would say, very, very well received overall.
How did you get into the market scene?
They had a market over in Okotoks it was the Indigenous market, their first one they ever did. And I wish I had a photo of it. And we literally I think we had 60 product, that was it total. And we had nothing on our table. That was it. It looked so bad. And I met Melorine Eagle Speaker, who the native diva or authentically Indigenous there. And she kind of took me under her wing. Her husband, a couple other vendors, they kind of there was a joke that I was the kid of the group for the longest time, which is funny because I was like, I'm 29, leave me alone. And but yeah, they were able to, point me in all directions, give me the right kind of tips. Any questions I've ever had, I can reach out to, any of the number of people that I've become friends with over the last year, and they're there to answer it. They're to point me in the right directions of different markets, because I'm pretty horrible with like online reading stuff. So I'm dyslexic, so I'm very dyslexic. So my wife comes in clutch, but whether it be a couple of my friends messaging me being like, you need to go do this one, I'd be like, okay, I'm on it. So yeah.
It's quite the community here. Hey, it's amazing.
It's honestly, if I didn't have the community that I just happened upon, we would not be where we are today. That is the biggest thing, is that has made the difference in our company. And just given us also the kind of the courage to keep going, and the family support. We know that, if I reached out to them today, they'd be responding within a couple minutes, so yeah, to have that is huge.
So what would you say to anyone looking to get into the market community?
I would just say, be open and honest up front, and be kind, and everyone will be there to help. And that's something that I hope that I try and do to new vendors, is point them in the right directions, or point them into directions to people that can point them in the right directions. And but yeah, just, it's an amazing group here in the Calgary, greater Calgary area. And yeah, it's been amazing, right? Like my kids now have tons of aunties and uncles, and so so they love it, and yeah.
To go into a different direction, do you have any goals or aspirations for your business?
So yeah, there is now a new goal where we want to eventually start and have a storefront / coffee shop, but we also want to be able to give a place where other vendors and other artists can sell their things in an actually indigenous owned, where where it'd just be, everyone's things. It wouldn't be anything from, overseas that's, replicas or anything like that. That's the new goal. That's the new goal, is to start that, because I love coffee. And I think that would be kind of the I think that's something that's lacking in most places, like they're, especially because, so my brother, he works for the Calgary School Board, and he was talking about the lack of, like, when they have elders come over, like they don't know what to give them, and just giving, giving them as, whatever there be, like, as a gift. But giving them an area where they can call and be like, hey, you can go to them and they will point you in the right direction of doing this kind of thing. So that's the goal. That's the goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you sell the tea made out of that?
Yeah, we would. Yeah, we would do. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things that we would, like the scope of the company originally just started out as our cream company, and that's really like what we're kind of gonna keep it as. But if we get a storefront, there would be a lot of other items that would be more traditional, like whether it be like traditional teas, and we want to do a little more nature walks. I've been invited by a few museums to do seminars and nature walks, and kind of giving people the tools to do it themselves and learn this stuff, because it's important. You never know when you might need to learn, or might need something like this, being out in the wilderness or something. But yeah.
Would you have any advice for anyone looking to start their own business?
I would say don't be afraid to ask for help and find the right people. I think that was the biggest thing at the beginning, was like we didn't really ask anybody for help, because we didn't know anybody in like the market setting, and so we made a lot of, I wouldn't say bad decisions, but costly decisions. When we were first starting out, we're like, I don't know, this is owning your own business is a little expensive. So but yeah, that would probably be in a business. And then also just ask people that are in that area, like who do that, because most people are willing to share a couple secrets.
So before you even started, did you ever see yourself starting a business of your own?
No, definitely not. I was happy being in the oil and gas industry. I was happy. Well, I wouldn't say happy in the oil and gas industry. It was pretty hard on my family, because I did shift work. But I've always been in the construction industry. So honestly, if you had asked me a number of years ago, I probably would have been like, yeah, I would probably start a construction company, which I would never do now, because I know that they're horrible to start. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. But yeah, I would never have thought in 1,000 years that this is what I'd be doing now. So yeah.
So what do you think younger you would say about where you're at now?
I think he'd be confused. I think he would be interested and kind of, yeah, I honestly, that is a question that I've like thought about for a while, and me and my wife were actually, ironically, were talking about that not too long ago, and we were like, I don't know, like it just like I said, it only happened because I developed a coconut allergy, and I had to look at other sources, and like, because they were very expensive. Like I was using the shampoo that we had to buy from Florida, and it was American dollars, and it was like, I can't remember how much, it was like $50 for a bottle. So like, so this, like, in a way, this was started on necessity. It was like, well, what did they use like traditionally? And that's how this started, really.
That's where like innovation happens. It's from necessity.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's crazy, the progression.
Yeah, yeah. And like from mason jars where we are today to my sister-in-law, she does all of our custom labels. Right, she draws these all by hand, and then then we transfer them to our label supplier, and then he prints them all out for us. So, like, yeah, it is really a really family-run business. Like, it's, you know, my mother-in-law helps with, you know, whether we're harvesting or we're stickering, she's there. My brother-in-laws, my brothers, my sisters, they all help in some sort. So like, we needed a lot of help when we first got off the ground, and we're happy to now be able to like repay them with, you know, and my father is just very, he's a great guy. And I was like, Dad, I have this crazy idea and I don't have enough money. And so, yeah. And so I was very fortunate to have that. Without family, this company would not have been a thing. I was just the crazy person that decided, like, let's do it. And, you know, like, but that's very much how me and my wife operate. We're very like, we have an idea and we're like, let's make it work.
Might as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're very like spur of the moment. Like I just the other day, like we were starting to burn out, and we both like were just in bed and we're like, we're going to mountains tomorrow, just like both. And so we just shoot off to Banff for a day, and then we're good to go.
Those breaks are important, though.
Yes, they're very important.
So how does your family feel about the business now?
I think they're all very impressed. I think my dad's happy he didn't lose his money investment. No. But I think they're all just really, I think they're proud, which is like amazing just to see. Well, I know, like my parents have said they're proud of us. And because like now that we have 4 kids, and I wasn't working up north, you know, money up north you make a lot of money up north. And so with 4 kids, we wanted to have my wife not have to go back to work. We wanted, you know, her to be back with the kids. So we were kind of like, what are we going to do? And then we're like, maybe we'll make this work. And, you know, we put a lot of sweat and tears, a couple fights. And, but fortunately this year, my wife was supposed to go back to work in January. But she was able to not have to go back now, which was like one of the biggest goals, was for her to retire in a way. You could say she's a little more busier now, but like between this and 4 kids, like, but yeah, it's been very, I'm very proud that I'm able to, you know, because that's what my wife wanted. She wanted to stay home. She wanted to look after the kids. She wanted to be a homemaker. And to be able to achieve that has been probably like one of the proudest moments so far with the company. So, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Only up, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, what do you think your ancestors would say about all this?
I would hope that they're proud in the sense that we're trying to bring back something that I feel like has almost been lost. I mean, like, there's not many people. I know of 2 people that from my tribe that I guess one person technically, he passed away. He was old, but his daughter knows a lot about the traditional medicines. But really, other than that, like, you don't really like hear, like, a lot of people don't do it anymore, right? Like, knowing that you can collect 90% of this in your backyard, and it just grows wild. And it's the things that we spray and think that they're weeds, right? So I would hoped that they'd be okay with us doing it this way, because it's not completely traditional, but we put like a more modern spin on it. So, but I would hope that they would be happy. I know that when I had the elders in my family that I've spoken to, they've been more than supportive. So.
That's ecstatic, man.
Yeah,
It's such a clever way to honor those traditional ways.
Yeah.
Have you always been connected?
No. So in my younger years a little bit, but when I kind of hit the rebellious stage, I wasn't at all. I went down pretty dark path back in the day. I completely went the opposite direction. And I would say I had zero connection, zero belief in anything at one point. It took me down the path of, drugs and alcohol, and and I one day I woke up and I was like, no, this has got to change. So I ended up leaving the country and went down to the United States and dried myself out in Florida. And then I went across to Europe. I traveled and lived in Italy for a while. Lived in a place called Piedemonte, which is, it's the English translation would be the foot of the mountain. And I was living on the mountain, so I don't know how accurate of a town it's called, but I lived up on a mountain. It used to be a rock quarry, and I farmed. I worked as a lumberjack, and and then I came home. Me and my wife have known each other since we were about 12 years old, and I came home, and for some reason I was like, I got to talk to her, and I I messaged her one day on Facebook, and she's like, let's meet up for coffee. And at the time, I'd gotten back into construction, and my parents they help build usually houses in Mexico every year. And I was like, so my mom had called me. She's like, hey, we really need your help, because they're building a soup kitchen down in a place called Tecate. And so I'd met my wife for coffee, and we were from and it was lunch, and it went really well. The date was amazing, and I was like, okay, see you later. I'm going to Mexico for who knows how long. And I went down to Mexico and I built a soup kitchen for about 4 months. And I messaged her. We were messaging throughout the whole time. And then when I got back, we started dating. And then we got married about 7 months into us dating. And then, and had kids when I worked up north. And it's been a pretty crazy ride.
That is so cute. That story.
I don't know what she was thinking. So, but it was, we met each other when we were 12. We were like childhood sweethearts. We used to meet every year up at this summer camping area, and we obviously met up other times of the year. But that was but then during my dark years, I was like, we stopped talking to each other kind of thing. And then, I don't know, and then through, through religion and through reconnection, I was able to, to keep myself on the nice narrow path, and reconnecting with language, reconnecting with traditional ways. Like now as a hunter, I'm a hunter as well, but learning through different people, like through my friend Desmond. He's been teaching me how to make hand drums. I've gotten into tanning, so doing traditional tanning, brain tanning, hides. And I'm very much like, if I don't know how to do something, it's really hard for me to ask for help. So I YouTube things. And so one of the first time I was hunting, I had I'd killed the animal, and I was on YouTube being like, okay, that's how you do it. And it worked out. And like since I learned a little bit, and now I ask for help when I need it. And yeah, fortunately, Desmond, he's a native liaison for Okotoks, and he has a wealth of knowledge that I'm able to kind of pick his brain. And whenever he needs help or needs something, I'm always like, yeah, I'll help you out. And then he usually gives me a free lesson for something. So it's fortunately, it's like all the people that I need in my life kind of just fall into place. And it's actually like, it's uncanny, you know, like, yeah, like if I ever need help with anything, like we went out to Head Smash and Buffalo Jump, my great uncle is actually the main interpreter out there. And so he's, you know, helpful in all the historical aspects of things, and he knows all the family history. And so it's just like whenever I have a question, it's like, it honestly feels like creator's just like, okay, here he is. So I feel like I always joke with my wife, I'm like, yeah, I already did my purgatory. So, you know, this is kind of now, it's kind of the easier road. But, you know, yeah, so any kind of traditional questions that I have or finding out traditional things, it just seems like the right person kind of pops in. And since discovering everything, it's been incredibly enlightening. It's been almost a little more peaceful. Like I feel like there's a peacefulness, growing out my hair, and even my connection for when I'm hunting, it just feels different, and in a good way. Yeah.
So how did you learn to ask for help?
When I was in I'd say in Mexico, because I didn't speak Spanish, and I had to, you know, if I needed something, I needed an interpreter, or I needed my, you know, the head organizer, I'd be like, hey, we need this. So my time in Mexico was honestly an area where I grew a lot. I spent, about 4 months just building a big soup kitchen. And it was kind of just like everyone, the whole story behind that is, normally they have like university students come down to build a couple, and they can build a house in like a month kind of thing. They decided to take on this big project for a convent that would feed the whole town every 2 weeks. They would feed I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000 people, but they were doing it out of like a single house, like kitchen. So it was like, so this group was, so the group my parents is a part of, were like, hey, well, let's build you an industrial kitchen. But they'd never done that before. So, so the project took way longer. So everyone left because they had to go back to school. And so my parents were like, can you go down and finish the project? When I got there, the people that were in charge were very burnt out, and were like, here, we're on a plane tomorrow. See you later. If you need anything, you know, here are the numbers. And so, so there was like, I was in charge of, you know, getting Mexican workers. I was in charge of getting material. I was in charge of getting stuff from the States. And fortunately, I didn't have to deal with any of the border brokers, but we had a company that did that for us. But, you know, if I needed something, so like in a way, that was like the first big job that I'd ever been in charge of. And, you know, on top of like, you know, it being like 40 degrees every day. And, you know, when I tell people like, yeah, I was down in Mexico, like, oh, how was that? I was like, well, I was, you know, working. So, but yeah, that was I think one of the biggest things where it was, where I couldn't do it all myself. And then, and that's kind of really, that was a huge growing point, I think, in my life. Yeah.
I bet it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So would you have any advice for anyone reconnecting?
I would say definitely talk to somebody like a liaison or an elder, or if you can't do that, like a liaison would be the best place to start. And just to, you know, take everything with a grain of salt. If you think it's weird at the beginning, there's always a reason. And just to listen and learn. And like I said, yeah, like the biggest thing I think would be getting in contact with people that know what they're doing, and just to keep an open mind. You know, there's definitely some things that you'd be like, you know, we were to tell somebody straight out, like, this is what they believe, like, you know, they might be a little scared off, but, you know, just take it slow, take it at your own pace, and it'll be probably one of the best things you do for yourself, for sure.
Feel that missing kind of void in a sense?
Yeah, fill that void that you know that you are missing something. And it definitely has. Like every time that I learn something new, or I learn another story, or just learn how to do, you know, make a drum, or how to, you know, tan a skin, or, you know, boil some buffalo heads. Like if it had been great weather, we would have been boiling buffalo heads outside, which they're using for a Sundance festival. So one of them is going to a guy from my reserve, and they're going to use it in a Sundance festival for ceremony. And then like it's pretty fun. It's pretty challenging, but I would say that, find the right person, and the best place to start, honestly, would be talking to a native liaison. They kind of have all the contacts. Like, yeah.
Sounds like you haven't forced it. You kind of just go with the flow, hey?
Yeah, that's very, very much me and my wife's kind of thing in our life today, which is, I think, frustrating for some people, because we're just like, what are you guys doing today? We're like, well, I don't know, we'll see. And you know, so we kind of gone from having like too much of plans to being like more open. And so I think that's really also what's made our company so fruitful in the last little bit. The fact that my wife is so good at being like, hey, I'm like, there's a market this weekend, can you get us in it? She's like, I'm on it, you know. And you know, we kind of just go with it and just kind of see how it goes, you know. So yeah,
good partners.
Yeah, it's I'm blessed to have someone like her, for sure. So yeah, she pushes me when I'm lazy, and I push her at times as well. So it's kind of like in a way, almost I'm very happy with our relationship. Yeah.
I do want to ask, how does it feel then, having gone on this journey of reconnection, to now be so involved with your community?
It's been intense. I'm happy to help in any way that I can with people. I make a lot of good contacts, and it just seems like the people that, you know, I like our Buffalo supplier, like they just kind of came out of nowhere, and they're phenomenal human beings. And, you know, like, if someone needs something, most of the times I can find it, or know somebody who can find it. And so being able just to help in that sense is really good, because you meet a lot of cool people that way too. But it's been really nice to be able to help people and I feel like there's almost a void in some ways, with finding different items. And through our company, because it's just such a wide variety of things, even though it's like, you know, just cream, but all the ingredients and everything we use in it has really opened us up into a whole group of people that have been very, very helpful to us. So it's been amazing to be able to supply things like that for people.
The buffalo skulls too, I bet. Hey.
Yeah, they're actually a lot harder to find than you'd think, and I wouldn't say it's a lot of work, but it takes about a day to do a skull, to get it, you know, all nice and ready to be whatever they're using it for. It's a Sundance festival, they'll be painting it, so being able to, you know, clean it up, obviously to flesh the whole thing and all that. But yeah, it's fun. My neighbors, I think I'm crazy, because, you know, one day I was boiling a head, and my neighbor's like, oh, it smells good. I'm like, yeah, it's a buffalo head. They were like, oh my gosh. So I think we're kind of like the crazy Indian family on the side of at the end of the end of the row there. So yeah.
It's good though. That's representation.
Yeah, yeah. Like, or like, you know, like our kids are out back, we're plucking ducks in the backyard, you know, like, you know, it's, you know, or they help me in the garage skin animal or butcher an animal. Like, yeah, yeah. So it's, I think our neighbors think we're crazy, but it's fun.
How important has it been to include your kids in this, in your culture?
I think that's one of the biggest kind of pushes, right, to rediscover, is to pass it down to them. And yeah, that's kind of one of like the main driving forces, not only for myself, but just for to be able to learn it so I can teach them. Because yeah, like our like I said, like, yeah, like my kids are you know, they're big, like they're my kids. But I want to teach them, you know, like traditional stuff and how it is still, you know, how it still should be present in their lives. Like, even just, you know, even just teaching them how to, you know, they're always in there helping me skin animals when I have them, or, you know, they're helping us harvesting. Like they can pick out and tell you what each one of these are. So being able to pass this down is, it's very, it's very, I'm very happy to be able to do that. So yeah. Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah.
What other products do you offer?
So we currently have soap. Unfortunately, it doesn't make it to online because we usually sell out almost immediately. So, but yeah, we have two different types of soap. We have a calendula one, and then we have our prairie soap, which is very similar to the ingredients that's in our other cream there. And yeah, it's phenomenal, especially for hunters, because it's scentless. So, and that's what you want for hunting, is you want to be scentless. Or you could smell like a buffalo, because that's the fat we use for it. Yeah, so we offer two different types of soap. Eventually, we're hoping to be able to make it in the quantity that we can have it on our shelves, but until we get a little more employees, I don't think that will happen. Because we do the traditional way of making soap, so we use lye and water, and yeah, so it's the old way. And yeah, it does take a little longer than you would think to cure. It takes about 3 months to cure after you make it. Otherwise, the lye will burn you, and that's not good. Lye is also it's a very dangerous chemical to work with. You always have to think of it like snow. So when you add it to the water, you have to sprinkle it over the water, because it almost instantly boils the water. And people have really hurt themselves by putting it in the because you add it to a bucket, so you add the water to a bucket and then you put it on top. But if you do it the other way, it explodes. So yeah. like yeah, soaps, it can be, the process of making it is explosive. But yeah, those are the two soaps that we currently offer. Eventually we will be offering more, but currently, yeah, it's kind of just like a it is also something we offer more to the people that have like allergies or skin sensitivity, or people suffer from eczema, because it's very good for sensitive skin. So there is kind of a group of people that we cater to. So it's kind of like a little list that we have. Our products really are for everyone, but if they are able to benefit, the people who have like actual issues and they're able to benefit from them, we kind of like to cater to them as well. So it's just like a big cheese cutter. But yeah, then you just move her forward.
Oh, and you have like the little thing.
Your measurement, yeah, so they're all exactly the same. And then you just take it and push it on through. Ooh. And then there's a nice perfect bar soap. Ooh, back a bit. There you go. You're up, man.
Oh man, look at me. See, if I was a kid and I was doing this, I totally see how you get your kids doing it.
Our kids love doing this. Like, even like pouring and measuring and all that. Like, yeah, they have fun.
This is so satisfying. You still offer the lip balm?
We do, yeah. We still have lip balm. We just got back in stock. We had sold out. We kept on selling out, and so lip balm is yeah, it works really well. Okay. It's actually, we didn't realize how many patents are involved into the actual lip balm, like plastic containers. Because we actually were pouring them individually for the longest time, and that's because every single different lip balm is a different diameter. So you can't get a single mold to pour. So normally you stick them in the mold that we have, we stick them into all, and then we just pour it on top, and then we just cut it off after. But the ones that we had, we couldn't find the mold for. So our supplier didn't have like the special pouring mold. So we had to individually pour them. So that was taking a while. And so that's the thing, is it's like a business learning lesson almost in a way. Like we're like, man, this is taking forever, but it was a product that everyone loves and it works really well. So yeah, we do have it in stock again. So yeah.
Do you use all your products yourself?
Yes, and yeah, I actually do. This like I use this one, the pain relief, because it also helps with bruising. As a plumber, I'm around a lot of new construction, so I use that one quite often. This one I use, the Gather one I use almost every day for my hands. The Prairie one I use usually after a shower, and then the Buffalo one as well I usually use right before I go to bed. And lip chap is needed because we're in a very dry climate here. So yeah, and then the soap, it's phenomenal for, like, I use it for showering, I use it for, like, we have it in our bathrooms, and for hunting. Like I said, for hunting it's amazing because it takes away all scent, which is really nice.
If you could only use one of your products for the rest of your life, what one would you use?
Oh man. It would probably be the Gather, our original cream. Just because the yarrow is just such an amazing plant that, it's just, yeah, it was used for hundreds of years, and it still has benefits. It still benefits for today, right? So yeah. And we use it on my son's eczema, and yeah, it's been a game changer for sure. So yeah.
How do you clear up any misconceptions you're faced with about your products?
We're very open and honest with the way we say it, because these are we don't say that these cure anything. We don't claim that they do anything like that. We just say that it is known to help with, and traditionally this is what they would use it for. And yeah, and if it benefits the person, then we're more than happy to share their review. But a lot of times, like, you have to think with eczema, let's say eczema, for example, this might help with the symptoms, but the core issue is usually something dietary. So that's something that, we don't get into with the people. We're just like, no, if you want to, talk to your doctor or start doing an elimination diet. Yeah.
What would you say to any non-Indigenous who are a little hesitant to support your business?
That is actually a very good question, because we've had a few people online recently. And I would say that I'm happy to share our traditional way of life with them, and I'm more than excited for them to use it, and that they shouldn't feel scared or culture appropriation or anything like that. It's the attitude of how you're using it. I would say that it all comes down to intention of what you're doing, and I'm proud of the products that we create, and they have so many benefits for some people, and I would not be hesitant into using them. I would say try it. It's great. And if it works for you, I hope it does. If it doesn't, well, I hope you find something that does. So take care and come see us at a powwow or a market in Calgary, or have a good one.